here we are, YouTube. This is Acid Roots. Welcome to Let's Play Donkey Kong Country 3 Part 19. So these are going to be quick. I did a series of gameplay sessions here that will result in about 3 episodes. So we'll basically get to just about the tail end of the game, at least in the normal storyline that's not the 100%. And I estimate that, by the end of these next 3 episodes, we'll have like one stage and then the final boss to do. So this is the kind of concept I managed to get all throughout the rest of this world. It was pretty tough, definitely a real royal pain in the ass, but I was basically kind of able to get this shaken and stuff. But it's just kind of the concept of this world is nothing to toy with, and this kind of happens to be a thing. It really does have like a particular aspect of just like where the difficulty was kind of with its lazy setting is now starting to really just kind of just be a full-blown asshole. That just kind of happens to be a thing about it. But I mean, all of these are gimmick stages, damn near. This is kind of the concept. Like, they could have just made the platforming more tough and that type stuff, but it boils down to, like, on top of, like, that sort of stuff, the platforming being difficult, now you've also got, like, gimmicks to worry about. The gimmick of this one is just these ghost barrels that disappear and are kind of in awkward and tough to see positions. So it's this kind of, or just difficult to dodge positions. That's kind of the thing. So and then on top of that, yeah, I would just say get some KFC handy, get some Pizza Hut handy, something like that. If it's like 3:43 in the morning, something to that aspect, to strap yourself in. You've got a few more episodes here. There's still life left in the Donkey Kong Country 3 playthrough. So this is kind of the concept as far as that kind of goes. But yeah, this one's going to be longer than Donkey Kong Country 2. That's safe to say. Like, I would say I was fighting the final boss in Part 19 of Donkey Kong Country 2, and I recommend, if you like this playthrough, go check out those. I mean, the first Donkey Kong Country that I did back in 2020, that was only like a short, I want to say I did that in like 10 episodes, but that's just how brief and scant that game is. I mean, both of the sequels evolved so substantively over the original, but yeah, Donkey Kong Country 2 is just, I mean, I'm at the final boss by like episode 18 or 19, and then the credits is like episode 20 or 21 or something, so this is kind of the thing. But this one has more to it, and especially if I decided to do this like 100%, there'd probably be like at least another 6 or 7 more episodes after these next 4 or 5. This really happens to be a thing. But what it is, this is kind of a tough game. It really goes balls to the wall, and it'll piss you off. I mean, this is just on the normal playthrough. I mean, these last few stages, I was really mad. And one of them was just purely just an asshole-like tendency as far as how that kind of went, as far as trying to beat the stage. But this really happened to kind of be a thing. So this is kind of... I didn't realize that this game could belt out the toughness. I mean, it still consistently continues to baffle me, just the fact that being a 7 and 8 year old kid being able to do this sort of stuff. This kind of the aspect. I mean, you look at it being in like the 2nd, 3rd, 1st grade and that type of stuff, and being able to get to these type of stages. I mean, the dexterity of this is weird. I think that's just kind of the concept about it. I mean, you realize that you can't even write cursive language yet, and you're beating video games that like probably 15 or so percent or 20 or so percent of 30-year-old men can actually beat. This is kind of the concept. I mean, maybe I would suppose this game is not that nail-bitingly tough like a Contra game or a Castlevania game, but it does enough to piss you off to really realize that this is not exactly a modest or relatively normal difficulty kind of game, especially World 7 and World 8 and a little bit of World 6. This kind of, the difficulty just lazily ramps up, and then all of a sudden it's tough, and it's like, oh, hey, these are bastards of stages, this is kind of the thing. But, I mean, of course, video games have evolved since the 90s, but this kind of I mean, these are still kind of ass-clowning games, or stages. But yeah, so I'm just kind of kicking it, that type of stuff. Was watching Good Morning America a little bit ago. That sort of situation is kind of the morning news. If it's getting ready to be those hours for y'all, especially if you live in the United States. I want to say that there's actually a Good Morning Britain. I don't know if it's Disney that owns that one, like they own it here in the United States, but just look at the context of being able to say that, you know, there's a Good Morning America program. That's just spoilers for folks. I don't know if there's like a Good Morning Australia or a Good Morning South America or some of those type ones, but just being able to say, it's your morning breakfast with that toast and coffee and that type stuff. So, yeah, this is just a relatively 2008, 2009 kind of YouTube episode. I just felt like taking it back a little bit. I mean, I had enough gameplay to where I probably could have just done two 14.5-minute episodes, but I wanted to do 3 of these shorter ones just because I look after it, and I need more content on the channel. I feel like I would rather have more videos than more longer content and stuff. That's kind of how I prefer things. It just gives people more stuff to watch, and you know, I mean, even if there were ads, I feel like for the most part you just would have to look after it, that it's really just a simple kind of concept of just, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of just going over things, but I'm just reflecting on the way YouTube was back in 2014 and stuff. This just when there would be like 4 and 5 second ads. It's kind of the concept about it, but and this is just vintage YouTube. That's really the thing about it. This is what I'm trying to bring back, is the YouTube of 2012, where you just would watch these videos on your phone, and you know, just that sort of stuff, and just for those long car trips and plane trips and hotel overnight type things, or for certain audiences. I mean, I know watching Let's Plays in a hotel when you're in your 20s and 30s is relatively, it's just kind of about timing. I just look after it like that for particularly annoying situations, like having to wait 45-50 minutes for a pizza or something like that. This is a good playthrough to fire up. You watch like 3 or 4 episodes of this playthrough, before you know it, you've got the pizza in your hands. There's just plenty of situations to kind of just think, where could I watch a particular Let's Play like this and then do it, and then just that kind of staves off the situation. It's the same thing with kids, you know, for kids that hate getting like their flu shot every single year, just being able to watch a few of these, and before you know it, it's taken care of and you're on to like getting ice cream or whatever comes next. Is that sort of situation. It's just amongst that aspect of it, and it's just kind of like yeah, on a side note, this is an episode that I was talking about before. I want to say somewhere in the snow world. If you've watched this whole playthrough, you'll know that I mentioned this. This is one of the tougher stages of World 7, and this was just a real bastard and a half to kind of get through. This is just really this is one of the worst stages in the game. I mean, really, when I think of Donkey Kong Country stages, this might be one of the absolute worst out of the whole trilogy of these games. This is kind of the situation about that. I mean, they just really I mean, this is a clever concept. It definitely has the originality factor, but it's just not easy to predict. There's just a lot of stuff, like, you have to really be on your toes like the whole time, and there's not many safe points. I mean, Dixie is like a mighty individual to have for this particular point, just because she can float through some of this, but it's just kind of, I just look after it, you know, you just want to be on your toes. I mean, I would just recommend to watch what I do in like this episode. I do eventually beat this stage. Not in this episode, but you'll see as time goes along, we get through most of World 7 within these next few episodes, and the gameplay segment I recorded, and it's just kind of like, you have to kind of, like, the lightning will give like a faint warning, and sometimes it'll try to lead you, or if you start jumping ahead too much, it'll strike in front of you and then you'll run into it, so you have to kind of see if like the lightning crackles like a few meters in front of you, you just move back or don't go quite as forward. But it's just, I mean, it's just more about the routine of figuring it out more so than anything else. But yeah, so that about takes care of it, folks. We're about at the end of this, and it's just going to kind of end just because I think I go and save, and then that basically takes care of it. But we will get through some more of these stages, so that creepy, ghoulish pink castle back there just looks particularly interesting, but we'll see what happens with it. So, yeah, so I just would have to say I'll see y'all next time. Subscribe for more fun. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful night.